So in this tutorial we're going to learn about function overloading. So function overloading is basically using the same name for two different functions like how I've used here. But when you think about it, two different functions cannot have the same name because the compiler will have a complication to determine which it has to call. So now I've created a function named calculate. There is two functions named calculate, and with different form parameters, like let this be double. So here we can pass either an int value or double values in these two functions. So let me pass 5, 3,5 and 5.0, 6.9. So what's happening here is that here I'm passing an int value. So this determines that this function call statement is going to call this function because of the form parameters. But this is going to call this function because double is the parameters. So how does the compiler determine that it has to call which function in function overloading? It determines it on the basis of the number and the data type of the parameters. So here I pass different data types, so it can determine that this is calling this function and this is calling this function. So you can also get different number of parameters like of the same data type. So we can also pass different number of parameters in function overloading, like how I've done here. Here I pass 3 parameters, while here I pass 2 parameters. So if I want to call this function, I pass only 2 actual parameters in the calling statement, and here I can pass 3, 9. So this determines that this function call statement is going to call this function, and this one will call this function. So that's how function overloading goes on. And you can also accept value from the user and then pass it in overloading statement. So what's the basic advantage of function overloading? It's actually function overloading helps you use the same name, so it avoids the complication of using like multiple names for a number of functions that you may have. So that's why you can use only a single name for like common functions which perform similar types of calculations. So that's the advantage of function overloading.